Okay, guys, I have up here your notes on linear regression. So here is the examples here in your notes. And so I'm doing the video on how to use the graphing calculator online. And then when we're in class, we'll use the in-class graphing calculator. So we're going to learn two different ways. Unfortunately, I can't find a graphic calculator on like a simulator online that is exactly like the ones we have in class. It'll be a little bit different, but the idea is the same, and you'll always have this video to show you how to use the calculator. So the calculator that we're going to use is the NumWorks graphing calculator. So if you just Google NumWorks calculator, it's the first one, numworks.com/simulator, and you have this calculator that pops up. Okay, so it's a little bit different than the one that we have in class, but it does all of the same things. You'll have to use your keyboard arrows to kind of toggle through the different applications we have here. So we have calculation, we have functions, Python, statistics, probability equations. Okay, so I'm gonna use my down arrow, and I'm gonna go to this regression over here. Okay, so we're doing regression analysis. Hit enter, and then now we have over here it says data, and then we're going to be entering in x1 and y1. So this is where we'll enter in our points, and I have the notes pulled up over here. So here's the table. The table below shows the number of people P and suitcases S on 8 airplanes. Okay, so P looks like it's going to be our independent variable, which is going to be x, and then suitcases S will be our dependent variable, which will be y. So here in x1, I'm just going to use my keypad on my computer keypad to type in the numbers. We have 63, enter 115, 153, 192, 224, and 297, 231. 275. Okay, so what I've done here is now I'm using my up arrow to get through here. So I've just put in all of the P's or the X's here. And so I'm going to go put in the corresponding y value. So for 63, our y value or S value is 112. Okay, 209, 278, 302, 379, 500, 586, and 712. Okay, you want to make sure that you have the same number of X's and Y's. If you have one more or less on either side, it means you mismatched and you didn't put the right numbers in. Okay, so I'm going to go back all the way up to the top. I'm going to go over to stats. And this is already going to give you what you need here. So mean sum, sum of squares, standard deviation. Okay, so we'll go all the way down to regression here. And you can see it's kind of faint on here, but you can see that the equation, the form of the equation that they're using is the y equals, I think it says AX plus B. Okay, and I think that's going to be the same that your TI-84 in class is going to give you too. It's going to give you an AX plus a B. Okay, and then it gives you the value of A here and the value of B here. And then we'll talk about this R and R squared in a little bit. So basically we have y equals, and then A is 1.838. We'll just say 1.84. You can probably just round to 2 decimal places here, and then that is 1.84 times x plus b, which is negative 17, so it's going to be minus 17. Okay, so for our regression equation, it's going to be 1.83 minus, and this says 16.5. This one says negative 17. So with different graphing calculators, it's going to be, it might be a little bit different the way that it looks, but anything, these numbers should be fairly similar. Okay, so if you use this graphing calculator, it might give you a different number than whoever wrote this answer key, whatever they came up with. Okay, so I would just write here, in fact, let's put a text box here. No, why? Never mind. Okay, I was gonna just enter in that this equation that we got from here, but that's fine. Okay, so predict the number of suitcases on an airplane with 500 people, okay? So that means our x is going to be 500. Remember, we said that the top row here is going to be our x, so we're going to plug 500 into here. And so our equation is going to look like y equals 1.83 times 500. And there, again, they're using this number here. So if you get a different number here, you can just use the one that you got. And then simplifying, y is equal to 898.5. And then so that means when we give our final answer, it should be in terms of the word problem. So it asks for the number of suitcases, and you'd say it's about 899 suitcases. Okay, so looking at number 2, the table below shows the population in thousands during certain years since 2000. Okay, so in 2000, so year 0 represents the year 2000, the population was 10.7 thousand. Okay, so it's important to note that if you're calculating this y value here, when you give your answer, it's whatever this number is and then thousand following that. That's kind of like the units, thousand, this many thousand people. Okay, so A says find the regression equation. So here, let's go back up over to data, and then we can delete, let's see, delete all these numbers that we have in here and start putting our own in. So 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. And then we'll put the corresponding, is this one? Okay, no. And we'll put the corresponding y values in here. We have 10.7, 11.1, 11.9, 12.5, 13.2, and 13.6. Okay, so let's see how close this calculator is to what the answer key has. Okay, so again, I went over to stats. I was on data. That's where I entered in my points, and then I went up to the graph. I'm using the arrows on my keyboard over to stats, hit enter. And then we'll come down to the regression. So again, we have y equals ax plus b. This is our a, this is our b. So we should have y equals 0.20 x plus 16.63. So let's see how close it was to this guy. 0.20, which is the same, plus 10.64. Oh, that's a 10. 10.64. Perfect. So this matched exactly. So then we would use this equation here, predict the population in 2025. So remember, year 0 was 2000. So in 2025, instead of typing in 2025, we're actually just going to type in 25, x is equal to 25, okay? Because that represents the year. Like this 3 represents 2003, this 9 represents 2009. So to represent 2025, we're actually going to use just 25. Okay, so first we have, we're going to plug 25 into this equation, and then we're going to simplify it. We get y equals 15.64. And remember, when you're given your final answer here, y equals 15.64 what? Well, we know that this is the population, and the population is in thousands of people. So in 2025, we had approximately 15,640 people. Okay, if you put 15.64 thousand, yeah, you should write it out as this large number here. Okay. Number 3, so let's go back to our calculator over here, all the way up to data, hit enter. We'll delete all that we have in here already. So number 3 says the table shows the salary in millions. Okay, so remember the units are millions, made by the highest paid Major League Baseball during certain years. Okay, and it says 1985, 1991, 1993, 96, 98, and 2001. Because it's kind of a pain to enter in years as the year, what we should do is you can see what they did here is just make your first year equal to 0, and then you can add up from there. So from 85 to 91, that's 6 years up. So we went from 0 to 6, and then from 91 to 93, that's 2 years later, so we added 2 to 6. Okay, so these numbers represent the years since 1985. Okay, so we're going to use that instead for our x value. So we have 0, 6, 8, 11, 13, and 16 for the years. Again, this is years since 1985. And then salary 2.1 million, 3.8, 6.2, oops, 6.2, 9.3, 14.9, big jump there, and 22, big jump there again. Okay, so we have all of our points entered in. Let's find out what our equation is that the calculator did for us. Down to regression, y equals ax plus b. A is 1.22. So it should be y equals 1.22x minus 1.30. So let's see how close we were to this. Y equals 1.22x minus 1.29. So we're getting the same thing here. I'm wondering if maybe I mistyped a number in the first equation, and that's why we got kind of a different value there. So we can always double check that. But that's our equation for this table here. And then it's asking us to predict the salary of the highest paid player in 2020. So our X value is not going to be 2020. It's going to be the number of years between 1985, since 1985 is where we started, and 2020. And that's 35 years. So our X value is actually going to be 35. So we're going to plug in 35 for Y here. So we have, for X. So we have Y equals 1.22 times 35 minus 1.29. And then simplify that, we have 41.41. So our final answer is 41.41 what? And it is $41.41 million is the prediction for the highest paid player in 2020 based on the information that we have. All right, and the last problem here, the table below shows a mileage M on 6 cars that were recently traded in along with their value. Okay, so a car that had mileage of 5824 had a value of $16,920. Okay, so this is going to be what we're going to put into our calculator over here. So going back all the way up over to data, backspace all of these out, we'll do 5824, 25824. So I'm just putting in the X values here, 9062, okay? And then the Y values that correspond are going to be 16, 0, 10, okay, so there are all of our points there. So I'm going to go all the way up over to stats, hit enter, down to the regression. Okay, again, the regression is pretty much always going to give you this y equals ax plus b, and then it'll give you what a is and what b is. So a is negative 0.09, and b is 13,888.67. Okay, so our equation should be something like y is equal to negative 0.09. Good. X plus 13,888.67, and it's exactly the same. Awesome. Okay, so then predict the value of a car with 13,258 miles. So M is 13,000. So we're going to put 13,000 in, 13,258 in for X, and then simplify there, and then we'll get our Y value should come out to be $12,695.45. Okay, so when you're putting these into the formative for your online homework, make sure you are including units, because I will require that for these word problems. And if you have any questions, just let me know. That is the rest of these examples here.